Just a quick follow-up video on my Scorpion 16 Mega Drive clone and my attempts at trying to make it compatible with the 32X, RGB Scart, and also remove that 50Hz mode that it seemed to be trapped in. And I've not been 100% successful. I've got it kind of working with the 32X, but there seem to be some issues with sync and I just can't get them ironed out. It does work, but it's not to the point where it'd ever be usable. But I have got it working with the RGB Scart, so it looks great on the TV, really bright, really clear image, and I've also got it to output in 60Hz NTSC mode now, so that's great. There's no more cropped image on the screen and there's no more slowdown in any of the games. Before, even the games that were optimized for PAL 50Hz were suffering from this odd slowdown and image cropping, and it was nasty. But I've managed to get rid of that, so that's good. But what I'll do is I'll just move the camera around and give you a closer look at what I've done, and I'll also give you some examples of what it looks like when it's trying to work with the 32X. This thing here is the temporary audio-video jack that I made for the console. You can see it's hooked up to the motherboard, and all this is a 9-pin AV jack, or AV port from a real Mega Drive. I just desoldered it from my parts board here, and the cables for that are connected up to the video encoder, the Sony video encoder on the board just there. You'll have to excuse the really dodgy looking solder work. These have been desoldered and resoldered so many times now. I've been trying to get this thing working, so it probably looks a bit rough, but yeah, as you can see, I've got some capacitors on the RGB lines, and there's one for the sync there as well. I'll give you a quick look at the board here. So here you've got it's 5 volts coming off these cables here, and here you've got the white one is the sync, and then you've got your blue, your green and your red there, RGB obviously, and then there's a black wire for the ground. To get the console out of that forced 50Hz PAL mode that it was stuck in, I had to disconnect the jumper from the motherboard, and if I just zoom in over here, I'll be able to show you where that was. So just here you can see there's 3 contact points. The top one's marked with an N, and I'm guessing that maybe means NTSC, but the lower 2 had a little jumper cable connecting them up, and as soon as I cut that, the console reverted back to a 60Hz NTSC mode, which was great. All my NTSC games played in full screen at the correct speed and everything was fine, but I ran into another issue with my PAL games where some of them had sync issues and some of them just wouldn't play, and the solution I found to that was just to disconnect the NTSC PAL switch, and this is the cable connected up to that. It was hooked up to the board just here, but after I disconnected that, the games would play again. No borders, no slowdown, but the issue I did find was that some games, and I'll use this as an example, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, this is a game that's been optimized for PAL 50Hz, so you don't get any slowdown in this. It plays exactly the same as it would in an NTSC console, no slowdown. But this one, for whatever reason, it plays too quickly, so it plays at like double speed. The music's too quick and it doesn't really play properly, and it's the same for all my PAL 50Hz optimized games. So that's a bit of an issue, but to be honest, I'm not too bothered, because as soon as I'm finished making this video, I'm putting the console back to the way it originally was anyway. So I'm just really messing about with stuff here and testing it out. But I did manage to get rid of the forced 50Hz PAL mode, which was the main thing, and I can get the majority of my games to run properly. So I'll just quickly show you some Streets of Rage 2 running on the machine, and as you can see, it's now full screen, which is great. And I didn't hook up the audio to the console when I was making the special cable, so right now it's just coming through the headphones, but as you can hear, it's running at full speed, or running at the correct speed, and it's stereo, which is great. And if I just hit start, you'll be able to see some gameplay. All works perfectly fine. Turn these around a bit. Nice, clean, crisp image. No lag or slowdown or anything like that. But yeah, it works great, and obviously it's not coming across on camera, but it does look really nice in real life. For the final test, I've got my 32X hooked up to the Scorpion now, and this is a region modded unit. There's a switch on the back that lets me switch between 50 and 60 Hz, and I can basically play games from any region. At the moment I've got my Japanese copy of Space Harrier in there, and I've been testing it out with other games from different regions. So I've got PAL Metalhead there, Cosmic Carnage, that's a North American release, Afterburner and what have you, but unfortunately none of them seem to work. It works fine on my regular Mega Drive, there's no problem with the 32X, and I've tried every combination you can think of. I've tried different resistors on the sync lines, different capacitors, basically you name it I've tried it. I've even tried switching out the crystal on the video processor at the back there, and nothing. The strange thing is I've seen a video of someone using one of these Scorpion bootleg consoles with a 32X, so I don't know if mine just differs in some way or if there's something I'm missing, but either way it just, for whatever reason, will not work. What I'll do is I'll probably have to power cycle this a few times to get something up on screen, but usually what I can get is maybe like the intro, some music, and then it'll either just crash or just come up all garbled on the screen, but I'll quickly try and get something to show up on screen right now. There we go. Finally got it to boot. Usually it takes about 5 or 10 power cycles before I get anything at all, and this is typically what I'm presented with. A really unsynced and glitchy looking screen. But it normally plays through the demo mode, and then if I hit start on the controller, it should begin a new game. So I can move left, I can move right, I can fire. And it seems to work, it's just not syncing the video properly. There it goes, it's gone in frozen, so I'll just turn that down. So that's usually what happens, it ends up freezing and going all crazy. You can see the background still scrolling there. What I'm going to do now is probably just completely put this back to stock. That's me tried my best. I can't get it to work with the 32X, unfortunately. It works fine with the Mega CD, which I showed in my previous video, but 32X add-on with my console is just not happening. I don't know, maybe if I am missing something or I need to swap out some hardware, but as it is, it's not compatible, sadly. But tried my best and didn't quite get the result I wanted, but there you go. So thanks for watching. I think this is still playing music. Nope, it's not. Completely dead. I'll just turn this off before it damages something. There you go. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.